Hello everyone and welcome to WhatCulture Gaming. My name is Jules Gill and I am joined here today by the only man who would make me switch up my life for the better. It's Scott Tailford, and we are here today to talk about the Nintendo Switch, or more specifically, according to Scott, why I don't have one yet. Because there has been some news about some new models, so take it away, Scott.
Maybe this will convince you to invest. So a Taipei newspaper, Economic Daily News, confirmed the Switch Pro doesn't have a name yet. It's just a new Switch model coming in Q1 next year. They said, and also this has been corroborated by Bloomberg and a handful of other sources now. And there's been rumors of a Switch Pro for the last few years. And so, yes, it seems like this is finally coming at the start of next year. Apparently, it will have upgraded interactivity and improved display quality. Assumedly, it has to be like something like 4K graphics or whatever, because there was a Japanese games analyst called Dr. Sirkin Toto who predicted 4K graphics and bigger cartridges. Because the actual storage size on the cartridge is 32 gig, which is very minuscule for a current gen game.
And that meant that obviously we had situations where people were only able to install and run one game at a time. I remember it was NBA 2K20 or whatever it was, and also the Wolfenstein games and Doom Eternal. They literally, like, you could only play one at a time, and some of them were just like eking out every single bit of space they had.
The NBA thing was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was pretty ridiculous.
Taking up most of the hard drive space. So I think, as much as at the minute we just know that there is another system coming, Nintendo don't tend to chase this stuff that much, but like obviously the PS5 and the Series X will be out by then, so it doesn't really hurt them to be like, hey, we've got a 4K version going as well.
No, I mean, and it's such a popular console, especially with the rise of the Nintendo Switch Lite. When that came out, everyone bought that. So maybe when they say that there's increased interactivity, that's the only
thing that's weird.
Like, because they've already mastered the motion controllers, except for when we had the drifting situation from a couple of years ago. But like, what more could they potentially add? Because the only thing that I thought of was, do you remember when they released the Nintendo 3DS, and then a while later they came out with the new 3DS that had the little nubbin, so you had like a left and right joystick? That was actually like revolutionary in terms of how those games played from then on. I don't know how they would change up the Switch experience rather than make it so that it's the Switch Lite, as in it's the same weight and width of it, so it's like more portable, but it just has detached Joy-Cons again.
I don't know.
That's the only way I can think of they increase the interactivity.
Well, there's not that. If you go down and look at what the PS5 and the Series X are doing, there's not necessarily anything that is a baked-in new controller feature that they need to add. Like the PS5 is going down the haptic feedback route. Like the triggers are going to fight you, and it'll be like pressure feedback if you try and drift around a corner or whatever. Things that are supposed to simulate in-game stuff. That is so gimmicky that I think Nintendo might do something like that, but I doubt it. It kind of feels like they would have already tried something like that. But like you said, with the Lite, they got rid of the motion controls and made it all one unit. So I wonder if this is just the opposite, if they just go down the, I don't know, there's just other ways of interacting with it in terms of motion controls, or it scans your face, or the IR sensor detects your heartbeat in a better way, or whatever.
That could definitely work. I mean, it might well be that they try and do it so that interactivity means in terms of like other players. So maybe they're just doing more online support. Maybe they're doing things that are more increased, like marketplace things and stuff like that.
Maybe.
I'm not entirely sure.
I was going to ask, because obviously the Switch has been out since 2017. Does this entice you in a way that the other one doesn't? Because one of the things that puts some people off the Switch is that, it's not going to run stuff as good looking as the bigger boy consoles.
I mean, I really wanted to get the Switch Lite. Don't get me wrong. There was nothing against like Nintendo that is stopping me from getting it. It's just a case of I just haven't, because I've always been like, it's about the games library, and although that they've got like some absolutely stellar titles on there, everything else is just games that I can get elsewhere. And I don't know, maybe it's the price point, maybe it's the fact that I wasn't like doing huge like commuting journeys that I couldn't see the point of like the portable console for me personally. But the Switch Lite was the closest that I've ever come to actually buying it. Maybe I'm just going to do the same thing that I did with the Wii U when it came out. Which I waited until the Switch came out and then bought it when it was massively discounted and just reaped all the rewards of having every single game that was released for it.
As long as you play Breath of the Wild at some point in your life, then I'll be a happy man.
I feel really bad that my only experience with Breath of the Wild has been watching other people play it. I've had to do tons of research on it, obviously for lists and stuff like that, but it's like you'll notice that when I'm ever talking about it, I never say how the game makes you feel, because I can't attest to that. All I can say is that every other person in the known universe says, oh, this game's pretty good.
That is exactly what I sound like every single morning. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good, man.
I think that the whole third-party thing's interesting because, like, them going down the whole, bulkier console performance route, it puts them more in line with the competition against PS5 and Xbox, and they're never going to beat them in terms of sheer hardware.
No.
I mean, maybe they would. That would be like a weird miracle, but I just don't think that's Nintendo's focus. It is always the first-party stuff, or it is those sort of unique experiences that you can only get on Nintendo consoles.
Yep.
So I'm just super curious what the hell they do to bring people in, especially like a wider audience. Because I don't know, like, do you see a world where Nintendo could compete with Sony and Microsoft on like a sheer hardware level? Because I guess Xbox isn't really doing very well at the minute either.
I guess it's like you said, it's never been their priority. They've always been about the experience rather than the hardware. And in fact, I swear that that Nintendo actually get their rocks off in actually taking challenging hardware and making stuff work for it. Like when it came out and people looked at the specs for the Switch, for example, they were like immediately saying, well, how is this going to run anything that could compete with the bigger boys? And they just
Which is like a miracle.
And they just said, and we're doing it on cartridges as well. So at that point, everyone kind of wrote them off as being like, oh, it's just going to be like kidsy games. And then stuff like Breath of the Wild came out. And then stuff that was so graphically, like the fidelity on some of the stuff was shocking for what it was on. That I think that is what sells their stuff. They go, look at what we've managed to achieve using something that is far less than what our competitors are offering. That's their whole gimmick.
That stuff like works so much in the handheld space as well. Like something like if I bought L.A. Noire on Switch, which was that was a bad way to play L.A. Noire because that game is obviously very facial tech heavy and it just looked terrible on a big TV. But if you play it handheld, same with The Witcher, it does feel, I was going to say magical. It feels pretty damn good. Seeing something that should be like a big screen experience just in your hand, and that's how they get away with the resolution problems that would be there if you played it on a bigger TV. But them going down this pro route, increased visuals, increased interactivity, like that doesn't feel like that feels like the opposite of something like the Switch Lite, which was them embracing the handheld space. And like I mean, I don't know, like if you're like a hardcore gamer, like you're one of us, that it's like, do you look for a Nintendo console that can be your next dedicated living room machine in a way that maybe the Switch or even like the Switch Lite hasn't been?
It's a very hard one, isn't it? Because it's like the concept of even the Switch being a living room machine is kind of thrown out the window when it was announced that you could just take it anywhere. Like I feel like the Switch and whatever console that Nintendo are going to make going forward, they're going to be determined as being like lifestyle consoles. They're ones that fit in with you rather than you having to dedicate time to go and sit in a specific place to play them. And I feel like that is where their entire marketability is. So if they can move things forward with the Pro and any other future consoles to make it so that they fit in with your life rather than your life revolving around going to them, that's going to be how they're going to compete.
I've totally just thought as well that next year is when Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, and I guess
know.
There's something that they're doing it so that they have, like, obviously the new console, it plays best on the new system, then they have to go into the whole backwards-forwards compatibility dance that, like, Sony and Microsoft are doing at the minute. It seems like half-step consoles are just going to be the norm, and it's not that Nintendo are that new to it, in the handheld space especially, but... Yeah.
Not to compare them to like mobile phone devices, but it's how we live our life in most other ways. We are on contracts and we never really get huge upgrades in terms of what is available to us. We do just upgrade in like modicums, and I feel like they are probably just embracing they're embracing that much more than the PS5 and the Xbox One X and all the other ones are doing, because they're basically just going like, they're saying this is the game changer, this is going to be the thing that changes everything, whereas Nintendo have just been like, no, we're just going to evolve with what customers are doing already, and basically appealing to what their natural instincts are, which is to just do slight upgrades at slight price point increases.
It's because like on the Microsoft side and on the Sony side, like especially for next gen, they're launching with 2 SKUs each. Like the other Xbox console hasn't been revealed yet. Yes, it has. It's been leaked. It's been leaked as the Series S instead of the Series X, and we know that there's going to be a discless PS5. Don't know how much that affects like different, other hardware specs, but it seems like they're launching with 2 systems. Nintendo kind of like read the road a little bit and go, okay, here's the Switch. Okay, there's a massive dedicated amount of people that only play handheld. Let's do a dedicated handheld. Yeah. And then I guess you might as well satisfy the other side and go, here's your 4K version of the Switch that does all the Nintendo stuff in glorious 4K.
And then that way you've catered to every single market potential.
You have like a family of consoles that sort of came together a little bit more naturally.
And to be honest,
sort of
Nintendo were all about that. That's the whole thing. The whole gimmick is family. They want to be known as the family-friendly console across the board, so that makes it even better. By the way, everyone who is just watching this and probably has already been put off, I don't know why my webcam has just become like super overexposed, but it's been doing this on and off. So you might have seen my eyes dart over there. So apologies if that has been very distracting.
You look like you're being consumed by the lighting.
I feel like I'm about to be lost into a loading animation. I do apologize for that, but I didn't want to stop Scott when he was on a roll there, because trust me, trying to slow him down is like standing in the way of a boulder. It is not going to happen. Oh no. Okay, right. We're going to close this news out right now because I don't have enough time to talk about. I'm going to be consumed by the light. I've got to go. Oh, I'm blowing. Oh, actually, if I move back a bit, there we go. No, it definitely hasn't sorted out. Anyway, right. So that has been the news today. The new Nintendo Switch. Will you pick it up? Let us know down in the comments section below. And if you want to catch us further, you can do so over on the social medias. Myself at RetroJ with a 0, and Scott at
/LP89.
You're damn right. You can find him there. Hope you have a fantastic day, whatever you are getting up to, and we will speak to you soon. Bye.
Bye.